There we go. Fish on. Welcome back to Midwest Outdoors. Today we're on one of my favorite lakes on the planet, and that's Leech Lake. We're pitching jigs, that classic jig and minnow bite. You know, Leech Lake is one of those lakes that you can fish a lot of different ways, but the fish tend to be shallow almost all year long, and they absolutely love jigs and minnows. Not a bad fish to start the day. We literally got out here, started scanning a shoreline, and found the absolute mother lode on this point. And Leech Lake is such a walleye factory, you know. Don't settle, you know, I always tell people look for fish first, whether you have forward-facing sonar or 2D sonar, you know, don't settle. When you find them on Leech Lake, they're absolutely loaded. I'm just throwing a 1/4 ounce VMC Moon Eye jig, tipped with a shiner. It just doesn't get old. There he is. Definitely hit that one on the fall. Absolutely cracked that braid. You set the hook and they start ripping out drag. Fun fish to catch. Awesome. Oh, it is just so fun when they're loaded up like this. There's another one. What I'm doing here today is what I do a lot of, especially in cold water, where you're pitching it out there, letting it fall, letting it sit on the bottom, popping it, and then letting it sit on the bottom. But it's that cadence, you know, and getting that cadence down isn't the easiest thing. I'll show you a couple things that I do as far as what I use for line species and the right rod type to get that good jigging cadence, and then of course, good hook setting power into these fish. You know, walleyes have such that hard mouth that a lot of times if you're not using the right line, if you're not using the right rod-reel combo, you're gonna miss a lot of fish, especially in the wind. Absolutely gorgeous. This thing's been gorging itself on shiners, on yellow perch. There's so much bait in this lake, it's unreal. Let's get this girl back in. Whether it's this rod, this is a Legend X, it's a 6/8 medium, extra fast. I fish a lot of 6/8, 6/10, 7, 7/1, but I like that medium power, extra fast, because medium power, it gives me plenty of backbone, but then that extra fast gives me lots of good hook setting power. You couple that with 10-pound Suffix 832 braid, and then I've got a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader that I tie with just an Alberto knot. The reason I like that fluorocarbon braid combo is there's no stretch for one. Two, there's a ton of pike out here on Leech Lake, and with that fluorocarbon, it's really abrasion resistant. So even when you catch pike, you're not gonna lose a lot of jigs. But this is a great jigging rod. This is my favorite. It's got a 7 reel on there. I like to be able to huck this thing out there and then work it back to the boat. Now with the live bait that I'm using today, I'm not chucking it like I would a plastic and really snap jigging it. I'm just kind of spotting fish that are anywhere from 20 to 40 feet from the boat. And then, like I said, just giving a slight pop and then leaving that bait on the bottom. There we go. Working that same cadence, because those fish follow it for a long ways. It's kind of like when you're fishing crankbaits, you know, you're trolling, all of a sudden you make a turn and boom, you get a strike. It's kind of like that with these walleyes, you know, they chase it all the way back to the boat. They chase for a long ways, so just good quality, healthy fish.
Leech Lake is truly a fantastic fishing destination. First of all, it's Minnesota's muskie capital, but in addition to being one of the state's top walleye fisheries, it also offers largemouth and smallmouth bass, northern pike, crappies and bluegills, and jumbo perch. Leech Lake borders the Chippewa National Forest that has lots of biking and hiking as well as ATV trails. You can choose from any one of several dozen resorts on the shores of Leech Lake. There are hotels and motels in town, and the community of Walker is a bustling Minnesota resort town with tons of eclectic shops featuring one-of-a-kind gifts, some great restaurants and eateries, ice cream shops, and brew pubs. Walker City Park features a beautiful sand beach, and it's one of several concrete boat launches on the lake that offers plenty of free parking. Leech Lake and the town of Walker have something to offer everyone who enjoy having fishing in their lifestyle.
Spot lock right here. There's just loads of them. There, he grabbed it. Not a bad walleye. They're just crazy the amount of walleyes along this break line here. Unbelievable. That is what's fun about fishing Leech Lake. Sheer numbers and just good size fish, good quality walleyes. Man, they are fat and they are feeding. I love Leech Lake. It is an absolute walleye factory. If you want to have a lot of fun catching fish, you're going to want to check out Leech Lake. Hey, I'm Tony Roach. Hopefully I showed you a lot about catching these great big walleyes on Leech. You're going to want to stay tuned for more Midwest Outdoors.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Midwest Outdoors content.